So here's the thing. It'd be nice to make money off this YouTube channel. I'm still early in this whole creator thing. It might not be wise to devote a whole bunch of time and money to this venture without knowing how much money can I make. The data for that is not available publicly. So I paid for a membership from vidIQ, and then I used their tools to mine the data. Sometimes data scientists have to pay for stuff. That's just the way it goes sometimes. So I have a spreadsheet ready to go, and it's time for me to tell you about the most useful machine learning topic that you'll ever learn about. This is the third video in a series of me using data science to test the viability of my YouTube channel concept. There will be more videos to come. But before we get started, I would like to thank Bo from the freecodecamp.org channel. He's very nice and went through the trouble of going to my website, filling out a contact form, just to tell me that I need to zoom in on these videos. Thank you, Bo. If any of the other 6 people watching this have advice or constructive criticism, I don't mind if you want to just drop a comment below. To the code computer! So let's import some libraries here that we're gonna need. Alright, let's choose the new spreadsheet that I just made. Yeah, we called the last one DF, so we're gonna call this something different. Since this is about revenues, we're going to call it money. Okay, let's look at it, see what we got. So you can see my columns here. I have the accent or location. I decided to go with location instead of accent just because some of them, like you might be in the United States but have an Indian accent, for example. So I decided to go with location. The numerical stuff is what we're going to be most interested in this video. So let's look at what we have. Just make sure everything's formatted correctly. I made this so I know it is, but just to be sure. Okay. Looks good. I don't want to redo all of the data analysis that I did last time, but we have to have some sort of an understanding of what we're looking at. So I'm just going to show you real quick how to make 3 plots next to each other. So now we have to put the 3 plots we want. I'm going to do box plots. And we'll look at niche or niche if you prefer. Now we have a red thing here. Why do we have it red? Let's see. Oh, I need another parenthesis. There we go. Now let's just copy this since I don't want to make a mistake, and we'll paste it below, and we will compare format. And we got to change it here also. Now here we're going to have to do something different because I can't just type that in. If I try to type that in, let me zoom out so you can see. It's going to say that's not defined because you can't put spaces in. So what we're going to have to do is something slightly different. We're just going to have to use this again. And then you can see it works better. We're going to make this plot 2. All right, let's look at it and see what we got. Okay, so here you go. You got your 3 plots next to each other. It is kind of hard to read, so I'm going to show this data in a slightly different way. Let's just copy and paste. And we are going to use a bar plot, so it'll be slightly easier for us to see maybe what we're looking at. All right. See, I just think that's easier. They represent the same data, but see, because of the weird sample I drew that was more tilted toward what my channel does, because again, this is a project for me to determine how to run my channel. So here we can see it a little bit better. Now I do want to show just one more version of this. We're going to use count plots just so that we can see exactly how many of each different type of category I have in my data set. We want to see what the bias is of the data set, in other words. So let's go ahead and copy and paste again. and we're gonna call it count plot. Now this is gonna be more like the bar plot you're used to seeing. In Python it's called a count plot. Now we don't need all of this stuff. We only need the X and then the AX part. So we can delete all of that. Alright, so here you go. See, look, this looks more like bar plots you're probably used to. And you can see, as anyone who's followed me understands, it's going to have a skew towards science and technology and math. I am in the United States, so most of the channels I pulled are in the United States. And I am planning on doing talking head style videos combined with B-roll with voiceover, which is what this video is. Since this is about linear regression, let's start that. In order to do linear regression in Python, you're going to need the stats models API. You can just import it like this. Alright, it is ready to go. If you remember, we kind of did in the last video something where we kind of estimated videos with subscribers. In this particular case, we're going to look at videos with estimated annual revenue. So I'm just going to make a scatter plot first so you can see kind of what it is. And again, estimated annual revenues is something I pulled from vidIQ. What did I do? Oh, I didn't put an S. I gotta spell it correctly. Okay, so here we have a scatter plot. You can see it doesn't really look like a line, so it's kind of like what we had last time. But I'm gonna run linear regression on it anyway so we can see what the computer thinks. Okay, so it zoomed out just a tad. So it basically, you can see it's the same graph. It's just that this graph had a line drawn on it. This blue line is the slope that it thinks is related to the equation, and this kind of shadowy blue area is where you would expect most of the values to fall in. So you can see it doesn't encapsulate all of them. There are some that fall below it and some that fall above it, which is kind of to be expected for something that has this much of a variance between points. Speaking of variance, let's kind of look at some statistics here. Let's run an OLS regression, ordinary least squares. So I'll leave a comment here. We're going to define the variables x equals money, and we're going to do videos exactly as it's suggesting. Again, if you want these suggestions on the bottom, like right here, I just paid $10 a month to upgrade my Google Colab account, and then you will get those. They're super helpful. It also has an AI tool that will help you if you make a mistake in your code. It will help you with the diagnostics to see what it suggests to fix it. It's not always on with the suggestions, but it's usually pretty accurate as to how to fix stuff. Alright, so we're going to add a constant. And we are going to do the regression and fit the model. Result equals. You'll notice that it does have y first. We're fitting y and x instead of x and y. So make sure you get that correct in your code. And we are going to print as it recommended. Okay, so here we have the OLS regression. You can see we have some statistics here. You know, this one we kind of showed that it doesn't matter really how many videos you have. You could have various different revenues. So again, like we kind of determined last time, quality over quantity. Quantity doesn't really matter in this particular instance. So let's look at subscribers and see if that matters. Okay, so we have an upward slope positive slope is good. I mean, we see down here we do have scientific notation on the chart. Some of these channels have up to 10 million subscribers and some of them have much less than that. But you see it does fit pretty well inside the shadowy blue area. We only have a few points that are outside to the lower and then only 2 to the upper. So let's run the statistics again and see what we've got. I'm just going to copy and paste. And we have to make sure to change this to subscribers. And then we'll run it. So here we've got some new statistics to kind of show you a little bit about what we have going on here. And let's do one more example, just because I find this one very interesting. Let's compare monthly views with monthly revenue. We're up here, we were doing annual revenue, but if we're going to compare monthly, then I want to have them both matching. So let's go ahead and do that. So you see why I think this is so interesting. This is extremely rare to get a chart like this when you're doing a linear regression. What I was able to determine when I went back and I first did this, all of the stuff that vidIQ has for their data is an estimate, because obviously they don't have access to other people's accounts to get the data. So this is a graph showing exactly what they used to make their estimations. So you see they basically took the monthly views that the channel has and multiplied it by a certain constant amount, and that was what they estimated the monthly revenue to be. So we use this chart and linear regression to kind of accidentally figure out how vidIQ came up with their models for this. So we just learned that vidIQ is projecting revenues as a function of views. And I guess that makes sense because YouTube is also doing that. So YouTube's function appears to be more complex, but vidIQ seems to have a nice starting point that we can use. So let's make a quick projection of my channel and the revenues that I could expect to make based off of the slopes of the 2 linear regression lines that we made. We're going to use the 2 that had an R squared of 30% or higher. So we're going to throw away that one that had an R squared of 0 because that's garbage. So those 2 charts are subscribers versus estimated annual revenues and views versus estimated revenues. In a previous video, we learned that subscriber growth is not linear. The consensus among multiple sources is that most YouTube channels can expect to receive monetization after about 2 years of making videos. So I have a little ways left to go. After that, it looks like growth could potentially be exponential for channels where the creator has a high coolness factor. I'll just go ahead and use a low estimate for that. Yeah. Now, something my viewers don't know about me yet, I, in a previous life, have raised money for a startup venture. And I'll tell you that investors like to make their investment decisions based on the low figures. Starting a business is already really risky, and so I think they assume, probably rightly, that the lowest figure is probably the most reasonable estimate. So we'll go off the lowest figures. So I'd expect this channel to make this much on ads the year after I have received monetization. This doesn't take into account revenue from potential paid sponsorships, donations from viewers, or revenues from viewers like you who probably want to hire me to make machine learning algorithm to optimize your business or marketing operations. You can do this by going to my website and filling out a contact form. Okay, bye!